Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, the Lansen C is back in store. It's been around in crates previously, and now it is for sale for gold. But how much can you get this tank for? 15k gold. Or if you want it just without the camo, etc., it's, I think, 12.5k gold. Now, I honestly think that is a bit too expensive still for this tank. Yes, you're paying the gold, and yes, you're getting it outright. But I just honestly don't think this tank is worth that much gold for now. Now, other YouTubers such as Droodles, he may think that is worth it. I mean, he's playing well in it, and I see the Hall of Fame. He's actually #1 Hall of Fame with over 7,000 damage with this tank. So he might have a different opinion, but someone like Droodles, he's talking from a player with his experience. He's an amazing player. So amazing players will play this tank well. But for myself, I try to look at most tanks as possibly as I can from the average player kind of view. So the average kind of player will kind of struggle with this tank. Now, the tank is actually okay, but it's just too expensive. It's too expensive. Now, we're going to have a look at the stats. Now, we put the TVP and we put the Borask in there because this tank kind of plays like both of them. Of course, the Borask is an auto-loader, but they're all 105mm guns. So, first up, the DPM is a little on the low side. 2,000. You look at the TVP, 2,200. There are other mediums with much more than that. So the DPM is on the low side. Of course, the Borask is much lower because it is an auto-loader. But yeah, 2,000. It could do with having a bit more DPM, in my opinion. The penetration also is a bit on the lower side as well. Of course, not as low as the Borask, but 202 millimeters of penetration, which means you probably might need to run it with calibrated shells. Of course, the penetration on the APCR is 242, 254 if you are running with the calibrated shells. But the only disappointing thing, if you do run it with the calibrated shells, the DPM goes down just to what did it go down to? 1,900. So you're not losing too much DPM. So I would run it with the calibrated shells. It does have a nice 320 alpha though. The reload is 9.27 seconds. Now, in my opinion, maybe drop it down to 8 seconds. 8 seconds would be perfect for this tank. Shell velocity 930. Aim time is good at 1.45. Dispersion average really at 0.308, and it does have a nice 10 degrees of gun depression. Now, it's 55 kilometers per hour on the speed, and your armor is literally non-existent really. You got 70mm on your turret, 80mm on your hull. However, you can still get the troll bounce. So we're going to go into game, and we're going to look at just one game that I dug out. I played it a few times, but I went on to BlitzStars and I found a game that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to show this game. Here is the tank, the Lansen C. Now, it is quite a good looking tank with the moose camouflage as well. It is quite a small tank as well, and of course if you buy the tank, you can get some crates with the bundle, etc. But honestly, I think right now this tank is worth, I would say, about 8,000 gold. I would say about 8,000 gold for this tank. So we're going to go into, now you can see I've had quite a few games in the Lansen, as you can see, quite a few games, but a couple of them I'm just going to keep because they will make ideal for a different video that I'm going to make in due course. So we're going to just dig out this replay from the BlitzStars Hall of Fame. Now, this is, I think, number 5 or 6 on the Hall of Fame. It's a very difficult tank to carry in because of the armor, because of the DPM. It is a very, very difficult tank to carry in. I've struggled. I've been 1 versus 3s. If they've got a lot of hit points, then it's going to be too difficult, and I wouldn't say that you're going to come away with the victory. Again, it all depends on the type of player that is playing it, and of course the player that you're coming up against. But yeah, It's a difficult one, but I would play, of course, you need to play with your mediums. You're a medium tank, you need to play with your mediums. But I wouldn't play it frontline. I wouldn't play this tank frontline, because any tank you really come up against, whether that would be heavies, tank destroyers, mediums, even sort of tier 7 tanks, most of them will out DPM you, and you have not got that armor. Now, in a couple of my games, I was in tier 9, and I come up against tanks like the T54. I just couldn't pen him. I just could not pen the T54. Yes, it's a tier 9, but yeah, and there's other games that I come up against, the KV13, which is tier 7. He's not got no armor. I've got no armor, but he was absolutely tearing me apart because of DPM. And I'm a tier 8. So bear that in mind if you do decide to get the tank. And I know a lot of people will get the tank because it is now for gold, and you can guarantee the tank. Yes, it is expensive, but people like to collect tanks, and that's absolutely fine. If you've got the gold to waste on this tank, that is totally up to you. I'm not going to sit there and tell you what to do, how to spend your own money. If you want to buy this, then fine, go buy it. There's no problem whatsoever. It is annoying how when people sort of rage at you in chat like, gold noob, blah blah blah. Who cares? It's your money. Do what you want with your money. I'm not going to sit there and think like and say to you like, oh my god, what a div, what a knob, what a noob. Why would you spend money on this tank? At the end of the day, it's your money. If you want to spend it on this tank, if you want to spend it on anything else, then by all means, go do it. Enjoy it. As long as you're enjoying spending your money. If you want to buy something in the game because you enjoy it, then fine. And I'm happy for you. Other people should be happy for you. And if you want to buy this tank, by all means, buy the tank. It is a good tank. You're not getting a bad tank. You're getting a good tank. But it is just a difficult tank to play, and it's a difficult tank to carry, and there's a lot of weaknesses about the tanks. There's not so many strengths. Of course, you've got the 320 alpha, which is very nice. You've got the 10 degrees of gun depression, which is very nice. But to be honest, the speed, yes, it goes 55 kilometers per hour. It doesn't really feel like it goes 55. It does feel sort of a bit slower than that. But when you reach top end, then yeah, it is a quick tank. Aim time again is nice. So the sort of negatives and the positives sort of match evenly. So you've got a few negatives, you've got a few positives, and I don't think sort of 15,000 gold with the camo, I just don't think it's worth that. Maybe 10,000 gold with the camo. I mean, if you turn the 15,000 gold bundle into the 10,000 gold bundle, I would probably say, do you know what, this is actually a good deal. It's not a bad deal. Not the best. I mean, it's the average kind of price for a tier 8 when the tank's been around a while. So of course, in the future, probably expect to see this tank for that price. But it's never normally 8,000 gold or 7.5 or 6 or something like that. It's never normally that when it's never been for sale. Of course, this tank has never been for sale. It's been in crates. You could buy a crate to get the tank, but you could never buy the tank outright. And now you do have that option. So a lot of people will be after this tank, a lot of collectors. And as I've said before, you are getting a nice tank, but you're also getting a tank that is very, very difficult to play. I mean, look, this guy here, he's just got wrecked at the moment. He is, however, now on 4K gold. 4K gold. He is now on 4K damage. And he's only bounced one shot, so you don't expect to bounce too much in this thing, and use it like sort of a light tank in a way. But you can get those troll bounces, and remember that, because you do have 10 degrees of gun depression. So try and get on the ridge lines, because you can get those troll bounces. But you can't rely on that armor, because it basically has no armor. Now that was lucky. That was very lucky bounce. But of course, because of his angles, he's going to bounce that. So yeah, now all he has to do is kind of run away. He's in the situation now where he has no choice to run away. He's against the heavy with armor. The heavy's got a fantastic turret, and he's there on a one shot with no hit points whatsoever. So he's going to have to play this from distance. And of course, you can't even sort of rush into the T32, because the T32 isn't a slow tank. It's actually quite, for what it is, it's not too bad. But this tank just doesn't have that mobility to sort of, well, it can circle it. but you've got no DPM. You've got no DPM to try and deal with this T32. So the only way he can really try to deal with this 232 is from distance, and that's exactly what he's doing. And that's exactly what you need to do in this tank. If you're going to go with your heavies, sit behind your heavies. If you're going to go with your mediums, sit behind your mediums, and then you will do all right. That's pretty much how to play this tank, and that's, to be honest, that's how you play a lot of tanks. Now there is certain tanks in each category, sort of tier 8 mediums, tier 9 mediums, tier 10 mediums, etc., where you have to play it like front line. You take tier 10, for example. You've got the Object 140, you've got the T62, the T22. They are all front line medium tanks. They are all front line medium tanks that can deal damage and that can bully the enemy team. And this one, however, I mean, there's not too many. Of course, you've got the TVP and stuff like that in tier 10 that are kind of second line tanks, and this kind of fits straight into that category. Yes, it's not an auto loader, but it's kind of got the DPM that auto loaders have got, if I'm honest. So yeah, play it from distance, behind your team, and you should do all right. But unfortunately for this guy, it's just not a lot of time and too much hit points to try and deal with this T32. So just 12 seconds left on the clock. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, he's somehow managed to bounce 510 damage, but he is going to end the game on 5 kills and 4,863 damage. So if you are getting a tank, it's a very difficult tank to play. So but I would, if you're thinking about getting the tank, I would just wait. You know, in a few months time it will come back, and it will probably come back for even cheaper. So maybe wait until it comes back again to get it at a better price. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Did you get this tank? Have you got the tank, and what do you think of the tank? And remember, any review I make is my personal opinion of this tank and how I would feel how the average player will play in this tank. If you got this tank and you absolutely love it, fine, that's absolutely fine. That is your personal opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, like I say, and like people kind of rage to me when I get something wrong. Like, I'm saying a tank is bad and then I get raged at, like, how is this bad? Because it's my opinion, and I'm just stating this off my opinion. I can't state this off any other people's. I can't state this off Droodle's opinion. He plays it different, he plays it well. I can't sit there and say it's an amazing tank because Droodle says so. No, if he says it's an amazing tank, then he's absolutely entitled to that opinion. But for me, I think it is an average tank. There's some good qualities about it, but there is also some negatives. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye.